Thank you, Tanya. That was a wonderful introduction. I hope I can do it justice. So a few months ago, I'm standing outside my mother-in-law's bedroom door. I'm afraid to go in, but I have to, because somebody else is in there with her, and she just asked for help. You see, my mother-in-law is on her annual trip from Zimbabwe. She's visiting with us like she does every year. She's here to help us out. And tonight, my 4-year-old son, Ethan, is sleeping over at Grandma's house. Now, my son is what you would call a spirited child. Bedtime with him is typically 45 minutes, but it can take over an hour, and usually ends in tears. My tears. So when Grandma takes him for bedtime, it's a 5-second drop-off, and my wife and I are free. We get the time to ourselves. But now I've been summoned back to the room after drop-off because he wants to watch something on TV. And as most parents of 4-year-olds know, kids this age only watch one thing. That's the same exact thing they were just watching. So I know exactly what to put on. But I'm in here picking up the remote. The TV's old. It still has a DVD player built into the side of it. The Fire Stick in that room is like one of the originals where even Bezos was like, I'll hold off on this one, give me the next version. So I pick up the remote. But my son is in his button-pushing phase, where anything that clicks with a switch or a button has to be pushed. So the remote in my hand very quickly becomes the remote in his hand. Now, I have a hard time saying no to my son, which is why downstairs I have a special oatmeal chocolate chip cookie just waiting for me, because I deserve that. And he's got the remote. He's just sitting there pushing buttons to see what happens. He doesn't know what he's doing. It kind of reminds me of my first job as a developer. But he starts changing the channel. And as he's changing the channel, I'm thinking, man, what can I distract him with? Is it too late to give him ice cream again? Then he goes up to the power button, and TV's off. And I'm thinking, well, there goes movie night. This is turning into a full-blown daddy bedtime. Maybe we can watch one episode of The Neighborhood with my wife when I get downstairs. It's not going well. But then he comes across this big blue button at the top. And when he pushes this button, something happens. That DVD player on the side of the TV ejects a disc. And now my son has never seen a DVD before, let alone that physical manifestation in the world of his button pushing. So he's overjoyed with enthusiasm. He's so excited. And I'm looking at him, and first I think, okay, maybe I was being a little selfish, but we share this moment. And I think of that process of exploring, taking action, and seeing that feedback you get in the world of how to find impactful work as a staff engineer. And so I want to propose 3 steps of how I think of it now. First, you listen, but not just anyone. Think of who you serve. Whose problems are you solving? Who are the people that you're trying to help? And then listen to them. But by listen, don't just wait for your turn to speak or impose what you think might be right. Really try to empathize. Try to be in their shoes and see what that feels like. And also listen to yourself. Just your gut. Like, what thread do you feel like pulling on? And then you act. You act to learn, to gain some experience, to do something that an LLM can't tell you happened. You're trying to get firsthand knowledge of something that takes you down that path of pulling on that thread. And then you share that. You share that with yourself first. You reflect. How did that make you feel? Are you onto something? What do you think? But share that with those people you serve. Share that with trusted colleagues. Get some signal that you're onto something. I'll give you an example of how this played out for me. Last year, I was embedding with the internal analytics research team in our company. And they had this problem. They had some big data in cloud storage. And it was too big to move through our data warehouse, too big to access there. So we needed to improve this performance. And so I took some action, started exploring, and came across Apache Iceberg. And in doing this, I was like, OK, this is pretty cool. We can move from this data warehouse architecture to a data lakehouse. This sounds like it could solve our problem. We get better performance out of our data in cloud storage. So I shared that. I shared that with a fellow staff engineer, my director at the time, the team I was embedding with. And they were excited. They said, OK, this seems like there's something here. So after sharing that, I started to listen. And I got concrete first use cases, put together an MVP of an Iceberg catalog. So that's another action. And then shared that again. And listening to them that time, it became clear we were onto something. So I wrote up a vision doc. We shared that. Zach found some more first use cases, some eager teams. It also got some senior engineers who were interested in the project involved. Now we're going through the cycle a second time, a third time. We're getting signal each time that we're onto something. So we're taking this iterative approach of investing more and more based on how the people we're trying to serve are responding. And then finally, the fourth time through, it became a multi-department project. Teams wanted to take ownership of it. We were acting by writing OKRs. And pretty soon I wasn't needed on the project anymore. And so each time through that loop, it became clear it was worth our continued investment. It was worth putting more time and energy into it. I'll give you another example. I was in a one-on-one with my director, and we were talking about what a 5-year vision or a 5-year plan could be for our department. And we thought it'd be helpful to just understand where we are today so we can know where we're going. And in doing that, we realized our architecture diagrams are out of date. But I don't really like to draw. I'm not very artistic. So I was pretty excited when I found diagrams as code. And I thought, OK, this is fun. Let me update all of our diagrams. I can just focus on the model. We can get a single source of truth. We can reduce our documentation debt, put this in version control. This is really fun. I feel so quick. I'm just writing configuration and creating these beautiful diagrams without having to do anything else. This is going to be great. This could be my next big project. I'm going to share this with other people. I'm going to tell everybody about this. This could be a really good thing. Here we go. So after about 2 weeks, I put together a bunch of diagrams. I put some CI/CD to this repo, so we generate those anytime you committed a new config. And I shared it. I shared it with my 100-person department. And maybe 1 to 2 people were as excited about it as I was. And that's OK. That's feedback. As Dr. Kyle would say, like, it's OK. It's not a reflection of me. It was just the idea. It wasn't like anybody judging me. And I think that's OK. Not everything's going to work out. And that's fine. Just take that signal and move on. It didn't merit any further investment. It was a 2-week effort. It was worthwhile. It didn't require going any further. And then listen, act, share, I think, can also apply to your personal life. Now, I'm a curious person. I like to talk a lot. I like to share things. But unfortunately, for my wife, I work remote. So she's usually the first person I have to tell. And after 11 years, thank you. For a second, sorry. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello? Check. Hello? There we go. Thank you. For a second, I thought my wife pulled the plug, but she should be home with the kids. All right, so I'll just back it up. So I'm a curious person. I like to share. But unfortunately, I work remote. Unfortunately for my wife, she's the first person I have to tell. So after 11 years of marriage, she's very politely told me that I can talk too much. So as somebody who talks too much and is excited, I did the next logical thing, and I acted on that. So I started a podcast. And now, the beauty of podcasting is it's very simple to get started. So it was an easy step. It was an easy first step to see, is this worth pursuing? And since it's a personal project, the sharing is really just about me. How do I feel? How does it reflect? It helps if other people like it, but it's a personal project. We'll see where it goes. And now, I'm not sure where it's going to go, but it might be the reason why I stay married another 11 years. So to find impactful work, I like to think of it this way. You're going to listen to the people you serve. You're going to act, but gain experience. It's something that you have to do by trying. And then you share. You share that with the people around you. And you share that with yourself. Are you onto something? You're looking for signals, some validation. And then you continue to invest or stop based on that feedback. This way, you're not wasting precious time on something that's not going anywhere. Or if you're excited by diagrams as code and no one else is, you can get off that and focus on something else. And so as you're going through this cycle, you're really gauging 2 things. You're looking for what excites those people you serve, but also what excites you. And when you find that intersection, that's when you're onto something. That's when you might have your own blue button. Because impactful work is hard. It often requires you taking a risk, or trying something new, or putting in extra effort. And so if you can align those 2 things, yourself and what the company needs, you can really make an impact. So now, I'm not sure where my next impactful project is going to come from, but I know when it's time to look, I'll be thinking of this guy. He's moved on from pushing buttons to plugging in everything with a cord. So go listen, act, share. Find the work that excites the people you serve. Find the work that excites you. And go find your blue button and make an impact. Thank you.